Did you know there's a nation that's been building itself up brick by brick for over 30 years, creating peace and stability in one of the world's most chaotic regions, yet the world stubbornly refuses to acknowledge its existence? This is the story of Somaliland, a region defying the odds but facing a global political stalemate. Chapter 1: The Birth of Somaliland, a Nation Out of Chaos. The year was 1991. Somalia had plunged into chaos following the collapse of Siad Barre's brutal dictatorship. Amid this turmoil, Somaliland declared independence, not as an act of rebellion, but as a matter of survival. Decades of frustration, neglect, and violent repression had left the people of Somaliland no choice. Under Barre's regime, Somaliland suffered systemic destruction. Cities like Hargeisa were reduced to rubble. Entire communities were displaced. Infrastructure was obliterated, and civilians faced targeted violence. By 1991, it was clear. Somaliland's choice was stark: independence or annihilation. Yet Somaliland didn't just survive, it rebuilt. The region was in ruins, but its people didn't wait for international aid or applause. They relied on themselves and their communities. Elders played a crucial role, using their traditional authority to mediate peace and reconcile warring clans. Instead of adopting foreign systems of governance, Somaliland blended local customs with democratic ideals, crafting a hybrid system uniquely its own. Chapter 2: Building a Functioning State from Scratch. Over the past 3 decades, Somaliland has achieved what many recognized nations in Africa have struggled to accomplish. It established a functioning government, drafted a constitution ratified by its people, and introduced its own currency. Hargeisa, once a ghost city, has risen from the ashes to become a bustling capital. Markets are thriving, schools are teaching a new generation, and infrastructure is steadily improving. Remarkably, Somaliland has maintained peace and regular elections, with peaceful transfers of power, a rarity in the region. While Somalia remains plagued by internal conflicts and insurgency, Somaliland has proven that stability and democracy are possible in the Horn of Africa. But the lack of international recognition comes at a cost. Somaliland is excluded from global financial systems, international trade agreements, and formal diplomatic platforms. Despite this, the region has shown incredible resilience, achieving more with limited resources than many nations with full recognition. Chapter 3: Why the World Refuses to Recognize Somaliland. Why does Somaliland, despite its successes, remain unrecognized? The answer lies in geopolitics and colonial-era boundaries. Recognizing Somaliland would challenge the rigid borders established during Africa's colonial period, a precedent global powers are hesitant to set. The African Union, in particular, fears opening Pandora's box. If Somaliland gains recognition, other regions with secessionist ambitions like Biafra in Nigeria or Oromia in Ethiopia might follow suit. This could destabilize an already fragile continent. Global powers like the United States, the European Union, and China are also reluctant. For the US, recognizing Somaliland could damage its counterinsurgency efforts in Mogadishu. The EU worries about disrupting its strategy in the Horn of Africa. China, deeply invested in African relationships, doesn't want to upset its delicate balancing act. This refusal to recognize Somaliland isn't about its performance as a state. It's about maintaining the status quo. It's a fear of change, of admitting that colonial-era borders don't align with the aspirations of the people living within them. Chapter 4: Somaliland's Strategic Importance. Despite its lack of recognition, Somaliland is far from invisible. Its location along the Gulf of Aden makes it a strategic player in global trade routes. The Berbera port, upgraded with millions of dollars of investment from the UAE, has become a key hub for regional trade. Landlocked Ethiopia relies heavily on Somaliland for access to international markets. Somaliland's stability also makes it a valuable ally in combating piracy and insurgency in the region, while much of the Horn of Africa grapples with terrorism and political turmoil. Somaliland has kept insurgent groups at bay. Even without recognition, Somaliland has built partnerships with major players like the United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, and Kenya. The United States has shown interest in security collaborations, and Somaliland's strategic location has made it indispensable to global powers looking to maintain stability in the region. Chapter 5: Trump's missed opportunity to recognize Somaliland. During his presidency, There was speculation that Donald Trump might become the first world leader to recognize Somaliland. Experts suggested that Trump, known for his bold and unconventional foreign policy moves, might see Somaliland as a strategic asset. For Trump, recognizing Somaliland could have aligned with his America First strategy. Somaliland could offer the U.S. a critical foothold in the Horn of Africa, countering Chinese influence and bolstering American dominance in global trade routes. Hosting a U.S. military base in Somaliland or securing preferential trade agreements could have strengthened the case. But the recognition never came. Perhaps the deal wasn't sweet enough, or perhaps the geopolitical risks outweighed the potential benefits. Whatever the reason, Trump left office without taking this bold step. Chapter 6. The Cost of Non-Recognition. Somaliland's lack of recognition isn't just a political inconvenience, it has real-world consequences. Without formal recognition, Somaliland cannot access international loans or development funds. Businesses face barriers, and international trade is more complicated. Despite these challenges, Somaliland has thrived. Its diaspora has played a crucial role, sending remittances that fund schools, hospitals, and businesses. The Berbera Corridor Project, a massive infrastructure initiative, is turning Somaliland into a trade gateway for the Horn of Africa, connecting Ethiopia's growing economy to global markets. Somaliland has also made impressive strides in education, particularly for women and girls. In a region where gender inequality is prevalent, Somaliland is breaking barriers and setting an example for others. Chapter 7. What recognition would mean for Somaliland? What would happen if Somaliland were officially recognized? The impact would be transformative. Economically, recognition would open doors to international financial systems, foreign investments, and global trade agreements. The Berbera port could grow into a global logistics powerhouse, attracting multinational corporations and boosting regional trade. Access to international development funds could accelerate infrastructure projects, improving roads, schools, and hospitals. Diplomatically, recognition would give Somaliland a voice on the world stage. It could join the United Nations, participate in global discussions, and forge alliances that strengthen its position internationally. Its peaceful governance and commitment to democracy could serve as a model for other nations in the Horn of Africa. Culturally, recognition would amplify Somaliland's global presence. Artists, writers, and innovators could share their work with the world, and young Somalilanders could access scholarships and academic exchanges, bringing knowledge back to their homeland. Most importantly, recognition would validate the resilience and determination of the Somaliland people. After decades of being ignored, it would be a moment of celebration, a testament to what they've achieved against all odds. On November 13, 2024, the people of Somaliland cast their votes in the region's fourth presidential election since declaring independence from Somalia in 1991. The results marked a significant shift. Voters ousted incumbent President Muse Bihi Abdi and his Kulmiye party, electing Abdirahman Mohamed Abdullahi, better known as Iro, the leader of the Wadani party. Iro's swearing-in last week symbolized not only a democratic victory, but also the potential for a new chapter in Somaliland's relationship with the United States. As new administrations take office in both Hargeisa and Washington, fresh opportunities and challenges are emerging for deeper cooperation between these two partners. Chapter 8. Challenges to Recognition. Despite these opportunities, significant hurdles remain. The unpredictability of Trump's foreign policy could either advance or hinder Somaliland's quest for recognition. While challenging the status quo might benefit Somaliland, isolationist tendencies within the Republican Party could deprioritize Africa altogether. Trump's America First doctrine often left the continent out of strategic considerations during his first term, and his focus on other global crises, such as tensions with China and conflicts in the Middle East, could overshadow Somaliland's aspirations. Egypt poses another obstacle. Its opposition to Ethiopia's access to Somaliland's ports has heightened tensions in the region, and Egypt's close relationship with Trump could further complicate Somaliland's prospects. Ethiopia and Somalia's recent agreement to improve relations, facilitated by Turkey, may also influence U.S. calculations. If regional players are working toward stability, the Trump administration might be hesitant to disrupt this fragile balance by recognizing Somaliland. Additionally, the fight against al-Shabaab remains a core U.S. priority in the Horn of Africa. Despite its challenges, the federal government of Somalia remains a key partner in this effort. Any move perceived as undermining Mogadishu could destabilize counter-terrorism operations and embolden extremist groups. The recent rise of ISIS-affiliated militants in Puntland further complicates the situation, underscoring the delicate nature of U.S. engagement in the region. Somaliland risks becoming a partisan issue in U.S. politics. While Republican lawmakers and conservative analysts have championed its cause, Democrats remain cautious. If recognition becomes closely tied to the Republican Party, Somaliland's progress could face setbacks when the Democrats return to power. For Somaliland's bid for recognition to succeed, it must build broader bipartisan support in Washington. Chapter 9. Iro's Vision and the Road Ahead, Domestically. Somaliland's new leadership under President Iro offers a chance to reset and re-energize its relationship with the United States, winning 64% of the vote. Iro's election has been lauded as free, fair, and well-organized. His platform focused on national unity and economic reform, signaling a pragmatic approach to governance. On foreign policy, Iro has expressed a commitment to addressing long-standing issues, such as the conflict in the eastern regions of Sul and Sinag, and the lack of transparency around the Ethiopia-Somaliland Memorandum of Understanding. Resolving these challenges could strengthen Somaliland's case for international recognition. Iro has also emphasized his desire to deepen ties with Washington by demonstrating Somaliland's reliability as a partner. His administration has the opportunity to capitalize on the momentum generated by recent developments. Chapter 10. The Road Ahead for Somaliland. Somaliland isn't waiting for recognition, it's preparing for it. Every step it takes, from strengthening its institutions to upgrading its infrastructure, is a move toward a future where it's no longer ignored. The Berbera Corridor project, its growing education sector, and its partnerships with key global players all point to a nation ready to take its place on the world stage. Somaliland isn't just a passive bystander in global politics, it's actively shaping its destiny. The question now is whether the world is brave enough to acknowledge Somaliland. Recognizing Somaliland wouldn't just uplift one nation, it would create opportunities for an entire region and challenge outdated norms about borders and sovereignty. Somaliland has proven that you don't need recognition to succeed, but recognition would amplify its progress, unlocking new opportunities and validating decades of hard work. What do you think? Should Somaliland finally gain the recognition it deserves? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story that challenges the way we see the world. Thanks for watching.